This is Cruise Radio.
Cruise Radio is brought to you in part by tripinsurance.com. Travel insurance done right by the people who know travel insurance. Get a quote today at tripinsurance.com.
Here we go.
Broadcasting from the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. This is Cruise Radio.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Doug Parker. Thank you so much for making Cruise Radio a part of your weekend. Happy to have you here, my friend. A review from Heather of Norwegian Escape. She did a cruise earlier this year out of PortMiami, her very first Norwegian cruise line sailing, actually. So we'll have her on in just a couple of moments here to talk all about her cruise. And I have to mention cruise news today, every Monday through Friday, the top 3 things you need to know, plus the financial report that is just opposite of this channel or on Cruise News Today on YouTube. How you doing, Heather?
I'm good, Doug.
Yeah, I believe last time we spoke, you did, what was it, Discovery Princess?
It was.
So I'm excited to talk to you about your very first NCL cruise and see what you thought of it. So before we get there, we'll take a step back as we always do. You're up in northern Mississippi, so give me some pre-cruise thoughts. What made you want to take this 7-nighter on NCL and try out NCL for the first time?
We were asked to go on a cruise with some friends, the friends that actually got us started with cruising. And we had not been on a group cruise or with other people since our very first one. And so it ended up being us and them and 4 other couples. And so we kind of got together and tried to figure out what cruise line we wanted. And we knew that we wanted to go somewhere other than out of New Orleans because you're really limited when you go out of New Orleans for a 7-day. And so we landed on Norwegian Escape. I was hesitant because I just heard some iffy things about Norwegian, just, through the various cruise people that I follow, from itinerary changes to the weird flight arrangements and things like that. But everybody else was on board. So I thought, well, we're not going to be the only ones not going. So we just decided to go ahead.
Awesome. So you make your way down to PortMiami. Did you do any pre-cruise time down there before you boarded?
We did. We got there. We got there really early on Saturday, and our ship didn't leave until Sunday. And so we got there, got to the hotel, stored our luggage because our rooms weren't available. We stayed at the Courtyard downtown, Brickell, I think is how you pronounce that. And they were really gracious and let us store our luggage there for a little while we went to get something to eat. We went to this little restaurant that was across from the hotel, La Granja Paria, I think it was called. It was Cuban food, and it was the best place we could have picked. I mean, it was, it was close and it was wonderful. The food was delicious. So we made a good choice. So then we went back to the hotel and our rooms were ready by that point. Then we stayed in the room for a little while and then went to dinner, walked to a food hall called something Henry, Julia and Henry's, which was the coolest place. It was 3 stories of food booths, like, I don't know how to describe it. I don't think Memphis has anything like that. Mm-hmm. But I wanted a Cuban sandwich. I wanted to be in Miami and get a Cuban sandwich. And none of those vendors had a Cuban sandwich. So we walked to a little restaurant about 10 minutes away and got a Cuban and then walked back and ate with our friends there. But then some of us decided we wanted to walk down to the bay. And we walked down there and rode the Ferris wheel and then walked back to the hotel. One
of those advantages of staying right there in downtown Miami before your ship, you get to kind of check out a lot of stuff and experience a lot of food. So very cool with that. It's embarkation day. You head over to the NCL terminal. Now, this terminal is about 5 or so years old at this point. So what did you think of the terminal and how long did it take you from the curb to the ship?
Some friends of ours had chosen the 9:30 slot. I didn't even realize you could get that early. I was thinking 11 o'clock was the earliest. And I knew that we weren't going to be able to get on board that early. So, but again, I just went with the crowd and we got in line. It was about 9:15. And so there was a line outside the terminal. We left our bags with the porters. I guess it was probably maybe 30 minutes. Well, I don't even think we were in line for 30 minutes until we started walking and getting up. Now, It was a process to get through security, but it was mostly efficient. There was one stop when we had gotten our bags checked in and everything, and or not our bags. We had gone through security with our carry-on stuff, and then we got to the check-in spot. And I'm used to Carnival. I've been on 3 Carnival cruises, and so I'm just used to being able to put cash on my sign and sale card. And I know Norwegian doesn't have a sign and sale card, but, so called something different. But she would not allow us to put cash on our account. We had to either do nothing, which we could, I'm not sure. She kept saying, you want to just use a credit card on board. And I'm thinking, I don't think you can do that. I'm not sure if she just was inexperienced or what, but, we just put our credit card on there. So I was a little confused about that. She said we could have put cash on our account if we had gone to guest services when we got on board. And I'm like, I'm not standing in line for an hour to put cash on our account. So we just gave up on that. But that was really the only hiccup that happened during check-in. It's a process. It's you go and you get checked in, and then you have to walk around and sit and wait in the terminal area. And we waited there. I think we got done by 10 o'clock at that point. And we were in group number 5, and we waited there until about 11 o'clock. We didn't get on the ship until 11. So it was a wait, and I don't know that I would check in that early, but it wasn't bad. We were with friends, and we had a good time just talking and expecting good things from the cruise.
So you make your way on board Norwegian Escape here. Now, when you board this ship, it's not like, any other, like a Princess ship or a Carnival ship where you're going right into the atrium. You're kind of going in almost a little hallway, and then you make that corner and you round and you get into the atrium there. So what were your first impressions once you finally boarded Norwegian Escape?
It's a beautiful ship, that really pretty chandelier. We kind of walked around and got our first view of the chandelier, and then ended up walking down the not glass, but the clear steps to where the atrium was. We wanted to make some changes to our restaurant reservations, and so we went into the comedy club where they had reservations set up there. But it was a little confusing because they were also doing reservations in Teppanyaki, which was across from that. And so we weren't exactly sure we needed to go to do that, but everything worked out, and we got our reservations the way we wanted. We wanted to make sure that all 12 of us were able to eat at Teppanyaki together. And so that was, we were able to get that taken care of at that point. I feel like the ship is laid out pretty well. I mean, your main areas are the atrium, and everything is either forward or aft. The restaurants are in the back, the theater's in the front, atrium is in the middle, and then you go upstairs, and then Sid Norman's is on one side on deck 8. And then I can't remember what is across from Sid Norman's. I can't remember what's across from there. We didn't ever go there, whatever it is. But like on deck 7, Oceans is on one side, and then like the like, I guess, games and stuff. Like, I know the air hockey was over.
Yeah, like a little arcade almost.
Yeah. The bowling was up there, and I didn't even realize it, but it was up there. But I felt like it's laid out pretty well. I know the pool deck is pretty small. We're not pool people, so we didn't really care about the pool. But I remember walking past at one point on into the week, and it was so packed that it just didn't look like anybody was having a good time. I thought this needs to be bigger. But like I said, we were not interested in the pool, so that didn't bother us.
Yeah, that's one thing NCL gets a lot of pushback for, is the size of their pools for as many people as they have on their ships there. That pool area, I guess you'd call it the Lido area on other ships, is pretty small for NCL. You make your way to your stateroom. What kind of stateroom did you book for this 7-night cruise, and what did you think of it?
We had a club balcony suite on deck 11 midship. And I wasn't sure why it was called a suite, because maybe because they put a couch in the room. I don't know, because it was very small. Maybe the bathroom was what makes it a suite because it was huge. It's the best bathroom that we've had since we've started cruising, except for the suite bathroom on the Glory it was comparable. I mean, we had 2 sinks, a shower with a sliding door, just plenty of room in there. And the balcony was bigger than, and I think the club balcony is what makes it, something special, but it's a little bit wider than a normal balcony would be. For the most part, we liked it. The bed was great. The pillows were great. We didn't really spend a whole lot of time in the room or the balcony. But I have said before, I'm not an inside cabin person. I've never been in an inside cabin, and I don't intend. Regardless of how much time we spend on the balcony, I want to be able to get out there. So it was a good room. It really was.
You said you didn't really know why they called it a club balcony suite. When you booked the cruise, did you have expectations of it being bigger than it really was? Or did you know when you booked this what exactly you were getting into?
No, I expected it to be bigger. Okay. I guess I just expected the room itself to be bigger. I knew the balcony was going to be. I didn't know the bathroom was going to be as big as it was. But I did expect the room itself to be bigger. But it was not a problem. Yeah. There was plenty of room. There was really plenty of room. There, everything was in it that we needed. So I don't have any complaints. In fact, we've already booked the Norwegian Escape out of New Orleans next year. Not the same room, but the same style room on the same deck. So I have no issues with the room. It was just surprising that it was as small as it was.
Let's talk about the food aboard Norwegian Escape. You mentioned that you signed up for some specialty restaurants, but we'll hit the buffet first, the Garden View Cafe. What did you think of the food in there throughout the week? And did it ever feel too crowded?
This surprised me, maybe most of all. The buffet was great, lots of choices, and it seemed like it went on forever, and it never felt crowded. And that really surprised me. Now, we didn't go up there on embarkation day, so that may have been a different story. We ate lunch in Sabre, one of the dining rooms, and that was really nice. But really, the buffet, we ate breakfast in the buffet a couple of days, and I think we had lunch. We may have gotten some pizza one day, which was good. It was probably the best pizza we've had. Well, Discovery Princess may have been better, but which I know that you don't agree with that. But I think for overall, it was really good.
NCL really doesn't have a main dining room, but they have dining rooms. So how did that work? Did you just walk up to anyone you wanted to go into, give them your name, and they sat you, or did you have to go on a wait list?
We originally, my friend Contessa, she booked everybody at 6:15 every night for Sabre. Mm-hmm. But then it just kind of, the way our week went, we ended up doing things, with them, without them, and everybody else was the same way. So I think we ate together the first night. I think everybody was together except for one couple that had specialty dining. And then the rest of the time, it was just, 2 couples here, 2 couples there. It just, we just went whenever we wanted to. And yes, we just walked up and said party of 2 or party of 4 or whatever. But it was very smooth. And maybe we went fairly early every night. So that every night that we just went to the quote unquote main dining areas. But it was a great experience. We had no issues with the regular dining rooms.
How did the food compare to, let's just say, Carnival or Princess?
I think it was better, honestly. The only thing that I just did not like was their chicken quesadilla. I don't know if something was wrong with the cheese. I'm not sure why. It was weird, but it was not good. But that was actually my first meal on board. Everything after that was delicious. And I mean, it was main dining food. I would say it was at least as good as Discovery Princess, maybe a little bit better than Carnival, but I mean, not by a whole lot, but I had no complaints other than that first quesadilla.
Talk to us about some of those specialty venues you hit throughout the week.
The first time we had specialty dining was Monday, the first sea day. We went to Moderno. I think it was a $50 upcharge. Now, when we booked it, we booked free at sea, which gave us 2 specialty dining credits. And it changed to more at sea in the middle of from us booking to our embarkation. I was expecting it, since we got the more at sea drink package, I was expecting us to give us another dining credit, but they didn't, which I was fine with because we had already gotten 2. If I had it to do all over again, I would not have used one of those credits for Moderno. I love steak, but this was not for me. It just, something about the meat. I don't know if it was just meat overload or what, but my husband loved it, but I don't think we would go there again just because I did not like it. It was just a lot of meat. And it just wasn't prepared the way I like it. One of the sirloins came out and she sliced it off and it almost mooed. It was so rare. And I thought, I've got to have at least medium. So she was very sweet and she took it back and she had it cooked a little bit more. So that it was more palatable for me. The next night we ate at Le Bistro for our anniversary. And I forgot to mention we were celebrating our 30th anniversary on this cruise, as well as my husband's birthday.
Nice.
So, but our anniversary dinner was at Le Bistro, and that was my favorite dining experience. The food, the service, everything was top notch. We couldn't say enough about it. It was a great experience. And I look forward to booking that again. And then we went to Cagney's for his birthday and it was really good as well. The steaks were delicious and the truffle mashed potatoes were amazing. And I don't like truffle. I don't like mushrooms or anything. And my husband was really surprised that I ordered them, but they were delicious. And then we went to teppanyaki with all of us.
Nice. That's fun.
And the 10 of us were able to sit at one station, and then another couple had to sit at just on the other side with another group. But it was so much fun. We had the best chef, and he was so funny, and it just was the best entertainment. And I would do that. I don't know if we would go just the 2 of us to teppanyaki because it was just so much fun with a bunch of friends.
Yeah, teppanyaki is one of those places that, you know what you're getting in yourself into when you go. You're going to get the chicken in the hat, the onion volcano, all that stuff. But you're right. Going with a group of people is just that much better than going just, say, solo or with you and your husband.
Yeah, it really was.
Did you go to the local at all?
I think it's Oceans on the Escape. Is that?
It could be, yeah, same.
I think it's the local on some ships in Oceans. And yes, we did. We ate there for lunch several times, and we went there for breakfast sometimes several days as well. And it was delicious. Always got seated, even when it was busy. We always got seated quickly. Our service was good. There was only one time, and I don't remember when it was, that we had some trouble getting our order to the table. I think they got something mixed up because I got an appetizer and my main came before my appetizer, and or I don't know if they just lost the order or what happened, but they made it right very quickly. And we would eat there. Like I said, we'd eat there again. It was all good food.
With the club balcony suite, were you able to get room service with like complimentary room service, I guess we'll say?
I don't remember because we never got it. We never wanted it. Gotcha. Not that we didn't want it, but we didn't need it because we were going to eat out somewhere every time. I honestly cannot remember.
The drink package you got on here, so you said it kind of transferred from free at sea to more at sea, which it sounds like you had more of a premium one with the more at sea. So is that like when you have the premium one, are you getting things like coffee included, or is it just a higher pour value, like up to $20 instead of, I don't know, 15? I'm just saying arbitrary numbers here, but.
Yes, we did not get coffee unless it was in the dining room. So Starbucks was not included. And I think you can get a Starbucks package, but we didn't do that. But yes, I think it ups the value on the drinks, and it's unlimited drinks. So, I think with free at sea, it was limited to 15 a day. And I don't drink alcohol at all. My husband does a little bit, but there was, he was nowhere near the limit of even 15. So we got it just for the not having to worry about nickel and diming on our account. Because we both drink Diet Cokes, and so we wanted to be able to just get a drink whenever, not have to worry about it. But it was, I feel like it was a definite the value went up when it changed over to more at sea.
Yeah. So let's talk about the entertainment on this 7-night cruise. What did y'all think of it?
So the first night spoiled us. We went to Sid Norman's on the first night, and we were done. We weren't going to do anything else except go to Sid Norman's every night. We had the best time in Sid Norman's. We loved that band. Their harmonies are, oh my gosh, they just acted like they liked each other and they enjoyed doing what they were doing. And so that was Sunday night. And so Monday we had reserved Choir of Man. And honestly, if we had not been to Sid Norman's and heard the band there, we might have enjoyed it a little bit more. But they just didn't feel like they clicked. The cast didn't feel like they really clicked as well as I think they could have. The songs were great, the harmonies were good, but I don't know if they were a new cast or what, but they were great. I don't know that we would go back. I'm glad we did go see it because everybody in our group that had gone to see it before, I think we had to go to the 9:00 show, that they were like, "Oh, you got to go, you got to go." And I've heard that from everybody that has been talking about it, on all the cruise channels and stuff. It was good, but I think I would rather have another Sid Norman's. They didn't have Sid Norman's that night, or they didn't have the band in there. I think it was a game show or something in there the night that Monday night. But all of the like the musicians all around the areas on the ship, I felt like they were very professional and enjoyed listening to them. The few times that we were able to, we were on the move quite a bit. But like I said, we were in every time the band was in Sid Norman's, we were in there. Yeah. So, and then they did the Rumors, the Fleetwood Mac album from start to finish. And then it was almost like a production, because they did the story of how everybody came up with some of the songs and the background of what was going on in their lives at the time and how it influenced their writing. And then it was so good. My son, loves Fleetwood Mac. And so I wish he had been able to be there, to hear that. And then the last night was the 80s prom night, and they came out dressed in all 80s clothes and stuff, and I'm an 80s girl, so we really enjoyed that. We were able to dance some, and it was a fun night, fun way to end the cruise.
I've said this before, but when they did the song "You Can Go Your Own Way," got goosebumps. It was so freaking amazing.
Yes,
it's just amazing.
Absolutely. The venue manager, I'm not exactly sure what her title was. She was a boss. Mm-hmm. She was the classiest. She looked like Audrey Hepburn in the movie Rowan Holiday. Mm-hmm. Her hair was cut with that pixie cut, and she was tall and she was just beautiful. And she handled that room. In Sid Norman's, you're not supposed to move any of the chairs because the walkways are set. Because they move around that venue when they're performing. They move all over the place, and it's so much fun. And so therefore you cannot move any of the chairs or any of the seats or anything. And there's one particular seat that says, "Do not even think of sitting here." It literally has a sign on the seat that says that. And she watched that place like a hawk. And if anybody moved any chairs or any of the bar stools or anything, she made them put it back, but she was very gracious about it. Mm-hmm. The only time she had to put the hammer down was a guy came in, and I think he had probably been drinking a little bit, and he came in and he saw some friends that he knew that were sitting close to that seat that said, "Do not sit here." And he proceeds to sit down and grabs the tambourine that is reserved for the band member, and he starts shaking it. And she came out of nowhere and grabbed that tambourine out of his hand and said, "Sir, absolutely not."
Wow.
And she made him move. And he very humbly got up and moved to another seat. But she was amazing. I know that they're not going to be on at the same time when we go back in April, but I really wish they would. But
curious about the Sid Norman's pub because, like, I know on some ships that place gets packed so quickly. Like, did you find you had to get there really early and kind of like stake your seat out and like, I'm staying here?
Yes, we got in line about an hour before the performance started, because the line would get long pretty quickly. They opened the doors about 45 minutes, I think, before the performance, and we were in line at least 15 minutes before that. And every time we got in line with not very many people in front of us, so we were able to get the seats that we wanted. So it was not, but the people that waited, it was packed. I mean, it was standing room only, and there were some times when they had to tell people that unless people came out, they were not allowed to come in because it was capacity. I will say another thing about her. Some people were trying to be sneaky, and as soon as some nights they had two shows, and some of the first show, when they let out, some people were coming in from the other side, and they were sneaking in from the other side of the doors. And I was like, "Oh, I can't believe they're going in there." And my husband said, "She won't let them stay in there. You just watch." And sure enough, a few seconds later, they were filing back out.
Oh,
so she was keeping an eye on stuff.
How were the sea days as far as crowds and congestion?
For what we wanted to do, they were not bad. Now the atrium did fill up for like trivia and things like that, but there were always, if the crew saw that there were not enough seats for people, they brought seats out. Like there were folding chairs that they would bring out, which I thought was great because no other ship that we had been on has done that. And so there was plenty of room down there, and I thought that was really good. But like I said before, the pool deck was on sea days, it was packed and it just looked miserable. And we went, I think we didn't spend any time in the Vibe. But I went there one time looking for one of my friends. I needed to ask her something. And, or maybe it was to take a picture of the wake. I can't remember what I was doing back there, but it was packed as well. It was small. It was a very small area. That was, that area back there is where the grotto is. And there were just people packed in there like sardines, not the grotto, but in just that area back there. And so I thought, and it didn't even have a pool back there.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to make myself miserable just to be, sweating in the heat back there. But again, even the buffet area on sea days, I never thought it was too crowded. I really was very surprised that the ship felt as non-crowded as it did, because I don't know how many, I think it's 4,000 passengers.
Yeah, around there.
And I'm sure we were probably booked solid.
How was the casino as far as the smoke situation in and around it? Because on this ship, it's kind of one of those thoroughways or thoroughfares, whatever you want to call it.
It was not bad. Now, if you're walking through it, sometimes I had to hold my breath just a little bit, but it was not just horrible. Every once in a while, you'd catch a whiff somewhere else on the ship, but it was very faint, and it was not a problem. There have been times on other ships that it would somehow waft down into the atrium, and it would be horrible, but I did not notice it at all. If we weren't in the casino.
Good to hear. Let's talk about your ports of call. So you leave PortMiami. What was your first port of call? And give us a highlight.
We stopped at Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic. Michael and I just got off the ship and stayed at, and I don't know how to pronounce this, Taino Bay?
Yeah, something like that.
How do you pronounce that? We got off the ship about 8:00, very early, and just walked through the port, walked around to where the lazy river is, and got one of the free cabanas and staked our spot and just stayed there. We were the first ones. The lazy river didn't even open until 8:30. And so we were the first ones in there, and the only ones in there, the first round that we took. did one more round, and then we wanted to get out, I think, get some tacos or something. And I wanted to go back in right before we decided to go back to the ship. But by that point, it was probably about 11 o'clock at that point, and it was packed. So I was really glad that we got there when we did. The area over there, there's a pool there with some hammocks. The cabana area it's just so nice, and it's free. I mean, you can get a drink, you can get food. There's shopping over there. We just really enjoyed the lazy river. We spent a little bit of time in the pool. We spent some time just laying down on the cabana, resting and getting dried off. There was a couple of couples that were looking for a spot. And by the time we were ready to leave, everything was packed. And so we let them have our cabana, and we went back and shopped a little bit and then got back on the ship about noon. But that was one of our favorite things that we did.
Yeah, sounds like a nice relaxing day there. So you leave Puerto Plata. What was your next port of call?
It was Tortola. And I have to back up and talk about a huge problem that I had. We had booked originally our St. Thomas and Tortola days were swapped. We were supposed to be in Tortola on my husband's birthday on Thursday, and St. Thomas was going to be on Wednesday. So I had booked an excursion in Tortola on that Thursday for Spring Bay, it's beside the baths. It's not as busy. It's not as crowded. It's a quieter experience, but you still get the boulders and the formations that are there, but it's just on the other side of the baths. Originally, I wanted to go to the baths, but I know he loves to snorkel. And so I knew that was going to be a calmer, quieter experience. So I booked that months before the cruise. Well, then they swapped our days, and I knew that excursion was going to get canceled. I knew it was. I should have canceled it myself and then booked something else, but I didn't. I thought they will email me before the cruise, a few days before the cruise, and they didn't. We did not find out until we got in our cabin that our excursion had been canceled. And by that point, everything else that we wanted to do was already booked up. To say that I was upset is a vast understatement. So I went down to the shore excursions desk, and the poor lady that was trying to help me, she was so sweet. And she gave me some choices, and I thought, we'll have to revisit this later. So long story short, we went back down the next day, or I did, and one of the excursions to the baths that I wanted to do that had previously been booked up, 2 spots had come open, and so we were able to book that. So we ended up being able to go to the baths. It was a very full excursion. There were, I don't even know how many people were on that boat, but we went from the ship. We walked down a little way and got on a boat, and it was pretty choppy. The water was pretty choppy. It wasn't a bad, the boat was comfortable, had good seats. It was not a bad trip over there. But we took some safari buses up to the Baths Park. Some friends of ours went with us. We found out later that they were booked on that same excursion, so we were glad about that. And so we walked down, getting to the Baths. It's that area itself. So what the Baths is an area of giant boulders that make these formations where the water comes in, and it's this beautiful blue color, and it's no deeper than about mid-thigh. Now there's Devil's Bay, which is, a regular beach where we were able to get in and swim, and my husband snorkeled a little bit, but then you walk a little bit more and you get into the boulders, and you start walking through the boulders, and it is an up and down and squeezing through and bending, and it was very challenging. I'm very happy that we did it. When we were done, I thought, we did that. We got a bucket list picture, and the main that you see on anything when you Google Tortola or Virgin Gorda. I forgot to say we had to take a shuttle from. That's why we got in the boat, was to take the shuttle from Tortola over to Virgin Gorda, the island, and then got on the safari buses. But when you Google that is that's the image that comes up, as this one area in the Baths. And we were able to take a picture there, which that made the whole trip, that made the whole cancellation, everything. It made it okay. I just wish that Norwegian had told us ahead of time. Oh, and they refunded our excursion, our previous excursion, but not on our credit card as onboard credit. And that was another thing that upset me. I was going to use it anyway. I feel like that was a money grab that they didn't let me know ahead of time, but it all worked out. I wouldn't say it was a perfect excursion because it was very challenging. You don't wear flip-flops. You wear good shoes. You need to be able to climb up steps. And it was more like ladders than regular steps, and bend and stoop, and it was challenging. But again, it was worth it.
So you flipped Tortola in St. Thomas. So how was St. Thomas?
We had an excursion. We were supposed to get on a catamaran, and it was a snorkeling excursion. We were supposed to go to St. John, to Honeymoon Bay or Honeymoon Beach. Again, the water was really choppy, and it took an hour to get even to a spot where it was smooth enough to be able to snorkel. And we didn't make it to St. John. I think it was St. James, and it was called Christmas Cove. It didn't matter. It was beautiful. We really had some beautiful snorkeling there because it had taken so long for us to get there, because we were sailing into the wind, and not sailing. We didn't have the sail. They didn't have the sails up, but it was very interesting because the catamaran, you had to take your shoes off. They would not let you wear shoes while you were on the boat. I know it sounds weird, but it almost elevated it because you're on a real sailboat that people actually take care of and want to keep it nice. But we snorkeled for about 45 minutes at Christmas Cove and saw some beautiful tropical fish, and even saw a beautiful, huge spotted eagle ray. Had never seen one of those before. We were really hoping to see some turtles, but we could not find them. My husband looked until he was the last one on the boat. He was the first one off and the last one on, because he loves snorkeling that much, and he really wanted to see a turtle, but we never did see him. And then after everybody got back on the boat and we were headed back to St. Thomas, we got a taco lunch, delicious taco lunch that was included with our excursion, and unlimited drinks. So it was all in all, it was fun. I just wish the water had not been so choppy and the winds had not been so strong, so we could have made it to Honeymoon Beach.
After that excursion, was it right back to the ship? Yeah,
we really didn't have time. In fact, the reason why our time snorkeling got shortened was because the captain did not realize that our back on board time, I think, was like 1:00 or something like that. And so he was like, "Oh, we got to get back." And so it took half the time to get back to the dock as it did to get to where we were. I wish we had more time snorkeling, because I feel like that, we might have been able to see a turtle, but that wasn't that bad. And I also would like to have shopped some. We didn't get to get any, t-shirts or anything like that in St. Thomas. We just went right back. I will say that when we got off the boat, that everybody the crew had lined up everybody's shoes. We had stuck our shoes in our snorkel bags. Everybody else's shoes were on the walkway that the dock. That dock was so hot. It was everybody was like jumping. We stepped off and everybody started jumping. It was quite hot. I wish they put towels down or something like that. Yeah. But then we walked straight back to the ship. It took about 10 minutes to get from the dock to the ship. There were a couple other ships in port that day. I think we were the last ship in the berth, so we had to walk all the way past the other two.
The big question is, did Great Stirrup Key happen on this sailing?
Well, we were supposed to go to Great Stirrup Key. We were looking forward to that. We had all rented cabanas. All of the friends that in the group had rented cabanas, and we were going to go get them together and just spend the day together and on the beach, and we would snorkel some and everything. And we had to just wave at it as we passed by, because the tender company said, because there's not a dock there for the ship to dock at, you have to tender in. And the tender company said it's too wavy, it's too windy, the swells are too high, so we can't do it. And as we passed by, we saw where the dock is being constructed. And so we were like, well, if we came a year later, we probably would be able to get off there. But, and I felt like I did not realize how close Cocoa Key was to Great Stirrup Key. I mean, literally,
yeah.
if the tide was out long enough, you'd be able to walk to it. But I felt like everybody on the two huge Royal Caribbean ships that were docked at Cocoa Key were just laughing at us as we as we passed by. But one of these days we'll get back there.
Yeah, for sure. So you make your way back to PortMiami. How was your debark process?
So since we all had really late flights, I think ours was the earliest. We didn't leave until 3:00 in the afternoon. We got one of the latest debarkation times, which was 10:00, which I thought was wonderful. And sure enough, right at 10:00, they called our group. And so we left. We were in line at 10:00, and we were out at the curb, waiting on a ride at 10:30.
Wow.
It seemed like longer because going through that security, it's like a maze. It's a lot. I mean, it's not, but it's smooth. It's a lot, but it's very smooth. They keep it moving. You are not stuck in a line. It's just, I was really amazed at how quickly we were able to get out to the outside of the port. Very smooth. Security, customs, everything was great. Didn't have any issues. I was a little concerned about our luggage being that late getting off. I was concerned about our luggage, moving off somewhere, but we found all of our luggage and were able to get out there to get a ride. That's where the problem came. It was not Norwegian's fault, not at all. We had booked, when we got the shuttle from the hotel to the port, the guy that was driving the shuttle gave my friend Scott his card and said, let me know when you're ready to go to the airport from the ship and I'll come pick you up. And so we thought, hey, that's great. It was $10 a person. We didn't have to worry about trying to get an Uber or anything. And long story short, after multiple calls and texts, and then finally he ghosted Scott. We had been outside waiting for him for an hour and he still had not shown up. And so we were like, we're going to abort this plan. Let's just get Ubers.
Yeah.
So 4 of us got one and 4 of us got another. 2 other couples had gotten their own transportation. And this was one of the scariest trips from a port to an airport or whatever that we've had. The first group got an Uber and they headed on, and our Uber showed up and it was too small. We had ordered one that was going to be big enough, but it was kind of crazy. And then this other car comes up. He's holding an Uber sign. Mm-hmm. And so the husband of the couple that was with us said, hey, he's with Uber, let's go. And he said, yeah, I can handle your cancellation with this other one. We can go. So very uncharacteristically, my husband did not look to see if it had an Uber sticker on his car. Mm-hmm. He was not with Uber.
Oh, boy.
We get in. All of our luggage is in. We're in, and he's not with Uber. He's trying to jack up the price, and we're like, my husband is like, this is not good. The guy that was with us, or the husband that was with us, he's in the military, and we're all nervous. We ended up getting to the airport okay. I mean, I had Google Maps up, making sure that we were on the way to the airport. It was extremely scary. And I thought, we will never, ever do this again. If we're going to get an Uber, we're going to book it. We're going to know the person. We're going to check their driver's license or their tag and everything. So we learned a very valuable lesson because that was very scary. But we ended up getting to the airport okay. And we just learned a very valuable lesson.
Yeah, certainly. What did you notice, as far as how much the Uber amount would have been from the cruise port to the airport to what he charged you? Was there a big difference?
Originally he said 75 and my husband said no, because Uber was, I can't remember. I want to say it was like 50. And because we had 2 couples and then all of our luggage. And so we were going to get, XL or a double XL or something. And he said, no, it's more than that. We landed on $60, which I was just like, I was looking at my husband like, don't argue with him, just pay him. So we got there. He was fine. It ended up being fine. But there was there was some concern there for a little while. We won't do that again.
Lesson learned there. So do you have any this is your first time on NCL. So if any other first timers are out there listening, do you have any tips for them?
We really enjoyed it. Some things are different from what I'm used to, but now that I know that they're different, and I don't know if you are really not able to put cash on your account, but now that I know that, I'm not going to expect to be able to do that. The only thing that I wish they would do differently is the excursion cancellation thing. And I might call ahead of time to make sure that my excursions are all good and not going to be canceled. But other than that, it's a great ship. Sid Norman's really is worth. I mean, if you enjoy music, if you enjoy rock music, if you enjoy like the Fleetwood Mac night, if you enjoy that kind of music, that's worth the price right there, as far as I'm concerned. We just had the best time in there. But really, we had a great time. And obviously, because we have rebooked that same ship, they sent us an email right after we got back, and they're going out of New Orleans, which is basically our home port. It takes us about 5 hours to get there. I was like, book it. So we've already got it booked.
Nice. What was the biggest highlight of this cruise for y'all?
Probably Taino Bay. Just being able to spend the day together, chilling, being on a lazy river. I mean, and it was free. We didn't have to pay anything. The only thing we paid for was we paid for our tacos and a couple of drinks, and that was it. And we could have spent the whole day out there. And that was just being able to spend it on just together. We were the only two of our group that was out there. And also Le Bistro, that was another highlight. That evening was very special. Of course, it was our 30th anniversary too, so that helped. But anyway, we're looking forward to going again.
Did you feel like the value was there for what you paid for the cruise?
Feel like it was. We not only did we get the drink package and the 2 specialty dining credits. We also had our excursions. If we booked through the ship, we had a $50 credit for the first person. And so on every ship excursion, Michael's was $50 less than what the excursion cost was. And so I feel like that it was worth what we paid for it. I feel like it was a nice balcony, very good location on the ship. We were right in between the elevator banks on both sides. So it was a great location. I feel like it was worth it.
All right. Well, in closing here, your final thoughts of Norwegian Escape.
We can't wait to get back on that ship again. We can't wait. This time we're going to Western Caribbean. We're going to Cozumel and Roatan and Belize and Costa Maya. So it'll be a different experience, but I'm looking forward to being on the ship again.
We've been talking with Heather about her 7-night cruise on Norwegian Escape over to the Eastern Caribbean. And Heather, congratulations on 30 years of marriage.
Thank you very much.
Just back from a cruise? Let's talk about it. Email Doug at cruiseradio.net.
A big question we get at Cruise Radio is, how do I know if I need trip insurance? Simple answer. If you're getting on a plane, taking a road trip, or getting on a cruise ship, you need to have travel insurance. Hey, it's Doug Parker from my friends at tripinsurance.com. Not only does tripinsurance.com protect your vacation investment, but it also gives you peace of mind in case anything were to go wrong on your trip. How do they do it? They offer 3 different types of trip insurance policies. Good, better, and best. One policy for every vacation budget. But it doesn't just stop there. They're up to 40% lower when you shop around on other comparison sites. Plus, tripinsurance.com offers 24-hour customer support before, during, and after your trip, online claims assistance, and travel alerts to let you know what's going on at your destination. But find out for yourself. Check out tripinsurance.com.
All right, Dougie, let's see what we got for you, buddy. Cruise Radio is produced at the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. Get cruise news, ship reviews, and money-saving tips every Thursday on Cruise Radio. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show. If you want to help spread the word, give Cruise Radio a 5-star review. Find Cruise Radio where you listen to your favorite podcast or online at cruiseradio.net. I'm your announcer,